Because you're magic people to me. You're magic people to me. Hold your head up high, let your voices fly. I'm proud to be Māori.
E te whānau, nau mai hoki mai to this beautiful space, to this podcast, Planting Seeds, and today we're going to be dropping a whole lot of seeds that you can nurture, that you may help grow into what it needs to grow for you, because we have a good brother, a soul brother here with us today, the brother Harlem, who has been doing some incredible mahi around the motu. So my brother, nau mai.
Mauri aroha, mauri blessings, my beautiful brother. It's just been a beautiful honour and a privilege to be sharing space with you here today. And I not only come with myself, but with all of the beautiful people who I've shared space with along this journey as well. And so we all come here with our aroha. Mauri aroha.
Mauri aroha, brother. And you have an awesome energy, bro. You got this like really nice, chill essence about you, bro.
Chill,
you know, has that always been something you've had an intention of, or has it been something that you've grown into?
Yeah, absolutely, my brother. It's something that I've nurtured within, and you'll know, all of the other beautiful people out there in whānau will know that your presence can't be attained from outside yourself. Your presence is an overflow from how you're nurturing your inner world.
And it feels like you've been on that journey, bro. But before we dive into that, dive fully into that, you know, just give people a bit of a, I guess, overlook or an insight into who you are, bro, in your journey.
So who am I? Yeah. In this moment, my brother, I am trying to embody a harmonious nature, a way of living in harmony with nature. And that, I feel, leads us to the beginning of my journey. Because in the beginning of my journey, I was absolutely privileged to be introduced to a natural world from a young age. And I realized that as time went on, I realized that was my privilege, to have built a powerful connection and foundation through our natural world. And I sort of, and that was through my koro, that was through my grandfather. And I sort of only realized that when I started to get swept away in the societal current, and just living out the things that I had experienced when I was a child. And then as I started to get into the alcohol and get into all that other sort of stuff, there was always just that deep knowing, my brother, that the world I was experiencing wasn't the real world. It was just a fabricated world or a synthetic world that had been placed on top of the real world, which was our natural world. Because as growing up, we were like eating from it. You know, I knew that it sustained my tinana. It kept me alive. We slept in it, and we drank from it. And so all along my teens, when I got into the mischief, there was always that deep, beautiful knowing that that it wasn't all. That wasn't all there was. And then I started to go through some powerful experiences.
And what led you into that journey of going back to what you knew gave you that feeling of life? You know, what brought you back to the moana or back to the ngahere after going through that, I guess, valley of trying to figure things out?
First thing that's coming to mind? is toxic relationships. I'm my brother, and having a wahine, being in a relationship with a wahine who was able to reflect my inner mamai to me, and then putting her foot down and saying that's enough. You need to seek some help, and then that was really sort of a catalyst for me to really start diving into myself, because what I was doing in relationships I thought were normal until she put the red flag up and said, hey, there's issues here that you need to sort out. And then so I went and got some counselling, and it started from there. Yeah.
We share that, bro. I feel we do share that, because that was the pivotal part for me as well, was going through bad relationships and recognizing that there was mamai that I was experiencing. But then the healing actually started for me when I started to acknowledge the mamai I placed upon them as well. And that just leads into that healing journey, right? And it does start there, doesn't it?
It starts there, my brother, and there's nothing like a wahine who can get into the deepest parts of a tāne who thinks he's real strong. You know, this calloused tāne who's built up these walls and these armors and these shields around his mamai. There's nothing like the power of the beautiful feminine who can infiltrate that just ever so softly, ever so kindly to a man's heart, and then really pull out that beautiful vulnerability that we do have as tāne, that we need to recognize and that we need to face. And so, this wahine, this beautiful wahine, she did this for me, to me, however you want to look at it. And it sent me on my way. And then she gave me this mirror, and I could finally see what was actually deeper within myself. And then that's when I started my journey in the ocean. And part of that first experience for me was like around humbling myself, because I was used to throwing hissy fits, tantrums, and then I needed to feel humbled. I needed to feel lesser of in some kind of weird way. And so I went out into the ocean, and that is sure where I found it, my brother. That is sure where it
There's
is.
so much Maori there, Ray. And I feel like when I'm in the moana, I feel extremely vulnerable, for sure. And so for you to go, was the intention to heal, bro, or were you just trying to escape, or what was the
No, there was no intention to heal. It was just the intention was to release the anger, the frustration, the mamai. This wahine had just left me. I don't care what happens to me, I'm just going to go. And in that moment, because I just ended up getting my gears on, and I just went to the beach. I didn't check the conditions. Sure enough, it was rough, and I'd never dived on my own before. And the brothers I'd only been diving for a couple of months, and the brothers who I'd been diving with were beautiful, good, hardcore, experienced divers, and they always said, "Don't go diving alone, my bro." And so I just had this little voice in the side of my shoulder, but I pushed him to the side too, and I was like, "Nah, we're out there. I need to do this. I just need to release this frustration." And so I chose a place that I thought was very dangerous at the time as well. Like, it was on the other side of this big island where I knew no one could find me if anything went down. So then I was actually placing that challenge in front of myself as well. And then I just jumped on my kayak, brother, and I just pulled. And it was a rough day. You can imagine the moana's turbulent, he's emotional. And I'm just pulling through these waves, and just this masculine energy just purging out of me. And then I get around, and then I get like 5 minutes into it, and I start going, ooh, okay. So I start going, ooh, okay. Yeah, nah, maybe I'm not so tough after all. And then just carry on till I get around this other side of this island. And then, and I'm feeling vulnerable. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling vulnerable is the best word. I'm feeling like all of that testosterone, all of that anger, all of that mamai I had has now gone out the window, and I've got to redirect that energy I was using into that, putting into that, into survival now. I was like redirecting that into how do I take care of myself, because I got to learn how to take care of myself in this moment. I don't want to die, but I want to experience what it's like to be on the edge of life. And I had all my gears, so once I got in the water, I was okay. I had my fins, I had all my dive gears, and I knew how to swim and free dive and breathe through my snorkel and all that. And so I started to do some mahi, and I started to look for kai. And 1 hour went by, and all of a sudden the moana, like I felt my focus, and this now that I talk about it, it's like probably the first stage of when I became self-aware, because I started to recognize that where I point my attention and where I channel my focus is ultimately where I'm going to be in the present moment, like where I'm going to be. And so I started to channel my focus and attention into kai gathering pāua, gathering kaura and some kina. And then as the hours went by, I would come back to the surface and I would look around, and it was almost like the moana was calming, and it was like, the clouds were starting to release. And then after like a couple of hours, 3 hours, I had a big kete of kai, jumped on my kayak, and I started paddling back, and it was like magic. My brother was like, I had released all of this mamai within me, and the moana had reflected that, and it was glass, and it was completely glass, and the beautiful sunset was setting over in the horizon. It was gold skies, and there was no clouds, and I was just paddling back with this profound experience, like, whoa. I had been humbled, and I had also learned the power of where I direct my focus, my energy, and my attention. And that was the beginning for me, and then it was all over after that. And then,
That's a profound experience, bro, and quite interesting how, the moana was the mirror for you again, eh?
Aye.
On the way out, you were just wanting to unload, and that's what the moana was doing. But then you just immersed yourself into that energy space, released, done what you needed to do, and just came back and rode the waves back in with this beautiful abundance of kai. And I'm sure it didn't end there, because healing is,
my brother.
you have those little breakthroughs, and then you have moments where it's just, ooh, and then it goes back up, and then it goes down. So how did you, after this profound experience, how did you then start to navigate? Did you realize, oh, yep, I got to start this healing journey now? Or that was the start of it, right?
Yeah, that was it, my brother. That was it. And, I realized it was just time for me to start doing mahi on myself. But then I also realized that that fire that I possess, that really powerful masculine energy, I realized that I could utilize that to dive into my darkness. I realized that the fire and the mana that I have, I could turn it inward, and because there's places within yourself, within all of us, that are very scary to go to. I don't care who you are. There is a place within each and every one of us that we were trying to avoid. And those places, you need to have the courage of a warrior to go into those places, my brother. You know. And so I was like, I'm going to utilize this energy to dive into those dark places. And I just started. I kind of lived through hell for a long period of time, my brother. Like, before I carry on with any more stories, just in relation to our beautiful whānau who are listening, I just would like you to be aware of your consent. Be aware of the consent with your imaginative eye, with your imagination. And I would just like to bring awareness to when I'm telling a story and you are envisioning the story that I'm sharing with you, please know that within yourself that you can change your frame of thought. You can change your thoughts at any time if you feel like it might be triggering for you or something like that. just know that you have that power, my whānau, and that it's consensual for you to be watching or listening. Kia ora.
Beautiful, brother.
Because I might take you on a few rides. I might take you on a few rides. So realizing that, I had a lot of mamai and dark places within me, dark closets that needed visiting, that needed opening, and they had been chained and padlocked for a long time. Generationally and intergenerationally, like those ones that had been handed down to me from my forefathers, that they had carried on because they weren't necessarily into getting in there. And so, I just started doing it, my brother, and I just started opening up the door for that mana to open these doors and have a look, and if they first started as like a little peek and then go, oh. But then, gradually with like this fire in the belly and the pukeos, open the door so it can come out and then I can face it.
Wow, that's so powerful, bro. And I do get flashbacks, of just those times of facing, that fear or that mamai. And it takes a while for me anyway to build the courage necessary to face that particular thing. Because it takes a lot out of you. You can't just go from one breakthrough to another breakthrough to another breakthrough. There's like a breakthrough, then a simmer. Then there's a breakdown. And then there's a breakthrough. It just goes into those certain waves. And for me, it's been like a series of breakthroughs of, because the deeper I've found of going into myself, the higher my vibration became.
It's organic, eh?
It's just that polarity again,
Roger, my brother,
it's like the deeper you go, the higher you go as well. Just in your own consciousness, your awareness of self. And that's the beautiful thing about it, because once you're free of, I guess, the weight that some of these things have, I think that's when we start to not only imagine more, but we believe in those thoughts that we have in terms of moving us into that aligned direction. And so for you, brother, you've been on a beautiful journey, the last few years, journey of healing, of traveling, of exploring, diving different parts of the motu, walking different whenua, being in the mauri of different ngahere. Talk a bit about your exploration and navigation that you've been doing, my bro.
Damn, my brother. Damn. You just brought them all back for me. All of these beautiful places I've been. It's difficult to explain. It's difficult to put into words, but I feel it has a lot to do with what you spoke about at the start of this podcast. When you said, I just feel like you've got a really... What did you say? But you just like...
I've got that flow, that
got
essence,
a real flow,
calmness.
Calmness. And that's probably the best way that I can explain it, my brother, is that by going to these places, like you experience... depending on your level of awareness and how much mahi you've done and how well you know yourself, I should say, depending how well you know your tinana, this beautiful vessel, that's this amazing biological technology that you're existing in, depending on how well you know that is the kind of communication, the kind of experience that you're going to have on the whenua or in the moana. And it's a gradual thing, obviously, but I just started to practice communicating with our whenua, communicating with our natural world. And I just spoke about it recently, actually, how a big, the evolution of myself was through treating our natural world like a person and really looking at our rivers, at our moana, going there like you're meeting your loved one, like you're meeting your loved one, the one you love, and you go there, you see them, and you give them a hug, and you have a korero with them, and you take care of them, and you make decisions that benefit both of you. You don't make bad decisions with our beautiful natural world like you do with a loved one. And then I started to realize that our natural world in these beautiful places, like the mountains, they would create a space or create an environment for me where it would pull out parts of me that I couldn't access. I couldn't access sitting here right now.
Yeah.
Like there's only a feeling you'll get on the top of a mountain after you've had no food for 4 days and you've been sleeping up there through a storm. That's when something will come out of you, my bro, that like is lying dormant right here, right now. And another beautiful story comes to mind that I'll share with you is the modi of a shark. The powerful modi and the presence of a shark when you're in the water with the shark, and just how him, by being there, swimming in your presence, you seeing him, just you've got things in you just bubble straight to the surface. Vulnerability, fears, memories and things of like TV programs you've watched, you know, all of these things about this being, and just from him being there swimming next to you, but he's just being. And so, you know, his presence for me as I've journeyed through the moana, man, they are such a blessing when I cross paths with the shark, because each time he's helped me become more comfortable with being uncomfortable. And yeah, I've only found it in very few things, and the mana of a shark is one of them, that it's just like it makes you go, whoa. And so yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the mana of a shark, my brother, that's one that I've always comes through for me, sharing space with him.
Wow.
Have you swum with one?
Nah, I haven't, bro. Like, even just how I said to you before, just being in the ocean is just very, like, I feel very vulnerable. And it's just like how you said, it's the whakaaro, it's the thoughts of the unknown. You know, I feel so uncomfortable of not knowing what's under there, or where I'm at, and things of that nature. So, and me growing up, we didn't ever really go to a moana. We always went to a river. You know, hardly even to a lake either. So that was where our connection, or where my connection was as well, was just in the rivers, in the fresh water. But as I've sort of grown into my own journey, I've built this beautiful relationship with the moana, in terms of knowing when I need to unload, when I need to just release. I just go into tangaroa, into hine moana, and just request for it to be taken. And it's just so effortless and easy, you know. And it's definitely growing. My capacity of comfortability is definitely grown in the moana. But man, if I was to see a shark, it'll be ooh.
Yeah, my brother.
So for you, bro, just to sort of hold space with the shark in that environment, that's next level, man.
It's beautiful, my brother. It really is. And I love that, you know, just touching back on your korero, how the ocean brings those things up for you. Isn't that powerful?
Powerful.
Isn't that so powerful, that when a body of water helps you regurgitate feelings and see, it's like ultimately you're seeing a deeper, you're taking a deeper look into where parts of yourself that you may not necessarily be comfortable with.
Yeah.
That's powerful, my
just
brother.
Probably the vulnerability and uncertainty, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's like a beautiful place, or like a bookmark that the ocean has given you through the thought of the environment or being there, where like it goes, here you go, here's a place for you to start. Here's a little, you know, like here's a little place for, because it runs deeper.
It's like a signal.
It's a little signal. It's like this little reflection, and that's the beautiful thing when I talk about it being mirror, is that it like when it pulls these things up for me, I'm like, oh, that's where I need to work. That's where I need to do some mahi and my vulnerability. Then you come to the question, how do I become more comfortable with being vulnerable? And then the beautiful journey of the ocean is like, or with anything, because you can bring that sense of awareness onto anything that we do. You can just take small steps to ease yourself into being vulnerable. Hey, my brother. You don't have to go and jump in the middle of the moana at 1,000 meters of water. Well, you can if you want to like slingshot yourself into the middle of nowhere, but you can just take small steps and just grow your strength. Just one step after the other. Sit in the uncomfortability, visit it for a little while, then come back out into a comfortable space, and then just keep knocking on that door.
Wow.
And then before you know it, your comfort zone was over here. Next minute, 2 weeks down the track, it's out here.
What inspired you, bro, just to get a van and chuck your kayak up on top of the roof and just go for a bit of a tiki tour? Like, what prompted you to go on this particular hikoi? An intuitive calling, my brother. And that was it's just coming through real strong for me right now. Intuitive calling, because I was on this crossroads. I'd been working this business up for like 3 years of beekeeping. And I was finally on the year of like, wow, I'm actually going to make some money this year to maybe go on a holiday or something, to do something with the money, because I'd be putting it all back into the business. And so I was at this crossroads of like fully committing and racking up lots of equipment and really just diving in. And I started to go through some powerful shifts, like just have some experiences, because at the time I was healing my relationship with rongoa, and so I was experimenting with that, and I had this powerful experience. And after it, the next day, I just had this voice in my head so loud and clear saying, the freedom that you're chasing isn't true freedom. And I just was like, what? And the freedom that you're chasing isn't true freedom. True freedom is when you have little to nothing and you're just happy with everything, with everything that you have. And so I just had this vision of like, if I chase this material, like I thought, like if I set up this financial freedom, then I had the freedom to do whatever I want, what I'm doing now. And then on the other hand, my intuition was like, let it all go. Let it all go, because it's a catch-22. The more things you have, the more things you have on your shoulders. The more things you have to worry about. The more things that it's constantly going to be something that's going to pull you out of the present. And I was like, I couldn't quite understand it at the time, but I just had this was me navigating intuition, and it was such a big decision. And after about a week, I just was like, it was too strong, brother. I was like, I'm going to sell everything. And so then I was too strong, bro. It was coming through in dreams. I'll tap on the bum from my tupuna, and and then it's like the steps. So when I let that go, then my next step and stage came through, which was to do this hikoi around Aotearoa, to get a van and to start to create space. And then the journey of like realizing what was my purpose, and that was another wānanga in itself. And then I was to carry part of my purpose was realizing the unique ingredients I was given from my birth up until that point, and recognizing what was my privilege. And so what we talked about before, my privilege was the connection with our natural world. And then when I looked around, I realized not everyone had that privilege. And then I also did cooking, and then I worked with bees, and so my understanding of vibration was coming through the bees. And so I was like, okay, how do I melt this into something? And just this internal korero started to go down, brother. And then creating space was born. And it was like observing our world and the current situation it was in at that time. Also having korero with my papa, with my koro, and asking him questions like, what's changed in the 70 years that you've been here? And he was like, oh man, things are like, everything's just going downhill pretty much. There's not kai in the places where we used to get kai. It's just going downhill. And then I was like, and then I looked around and I was like, so the main source of the mamai for me was people's disconnection to nature. It was this thinking that they were separate. And then I just realized, okay, I just need to help people remember that you're not separate from nature, my beautiful whānau. We are all connected, and we're all just actually one big whānau. And so with the privilege I was given through the learning about kai and the connection to the natural world, I started to come up with this idea of having 4
emphasizing the 4 major environments. So our home, the ngahere, the forest, the moana, ocean, and our body, our tinana. And I recognize that those are 4 major environments in our world today. And to have a self-sustainable awareness around those 4 natural environments can help improve our own life dramatically. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I was like, choice. And then I was like, choice. I'm just going to go and do it. I'm just going to go and do it because I just know this is what I have to do. I don't care if no one else is going to follow me or come and help, whatever. I'm just going to turn up to a place with a barbecue and start having a korero, start sharing kai. Yeah. And then, what are we now? About 2.5 years down the track. And yeah, we've been creating space in 8 places so far around Aotearoa. And there's a little bit of a tribe. So shout out to you, my beautiful creating space whānau.
That's a journey, bro. And I really like the emphasis on the 4 environments.
Yeah, my brother.
And just how wholesome that is and how resourceful, particularly in times like now, and just the uncertainty that is circulating around society, I suppose. But when you've got that connection to, your home, yourself, and then, the ngahere and the moana, like, there's not much reliance on anything else. And that's what I've been thinking heavily about, and me and Pani have been talking about it too, is that, man, there isn't much skill in lifestyle things. Like, I couldn't go out to the ngahere and hunt. I wouldn't know how to go and get kai moana. So if everything was to sort of like unfold instead of like the worst case scenario, what do we have? And I feel the mahi that you're doing and the way you carry things, it's just equipping people with that confidence of self-sustainability. And I think that's so incredibly inspirational, bro.
Sure, my brother. I likewise, my brother, I recognize your beautiful mahi too. And I feel your presence just by sitting here. And thank you for holding space for us here on this beautiful day. Thank you for creating this beautiful space for us here on this beautiful day. It's been magical. And I forgot that's what I was going to say.
That's all good, bro. And so where to next for you, brother? Like, you're here in Whakatāne. Is there any... You're obviously a man of flow, you're talking to your analogy of being a leaf.
Yeah.
Speak a little bit about that, bro, and at this point in time, where's tāwhiri blowing you, brother?
Yeah, my brother, so just sort of utilising the visualisation that recently with my journey has been like a leaf, and just allowing tāwhiri or the universe to blow me in whichever direction it feels. And listening to that call and just surrendering to that. And it was a lot what we talked about with, it's kind of like allowing the unfolding to happen as well. Where am I going next? So Taupo is where we're going to be anchoring in the next creating space. That's going to be on the 6th of November. And then Tauranga, and then Auckland, and then Whangarei.
Beautiful.
And then those will be the 12 locations around Aotearoa.
Wow. And what does creating space look like, bro? What does a day or wānanga on creating space look like?
So it's a big, beautiful, delicious collaboration of creative, crazy, unique beings. It's just really, but like so many different people coming in from their own walks of life, but like we're all coming in with that same beautiful essence, and that is the mauri of aroha. Everyone is there volunteering, and they all understand that we're all just there to collaborate, make things work so that we can gift it to our general public, to our extended whānau, I call them, aka the general public. And so when I'm sure you've experienced it too, brother, but when you get like so many different, I'll call them flavors, which are like different people from different walks of life coming together, we just make this vibrational mixing pot of pure magic. It's just, if you're sensitive to it, even if you're not sensitive to it, you'll feel it. And it's just a beautiful atmosphere. We create a beautiful space because we're pushing through so many of our own inner challenges as well. Like some people aren't comfortable with being out in the public. But through the support and the awhi that they get from these other people who are also we're all stepping out of our comfort zone. Yeah. All of a sudden we become like superpowers. We level up into this collective space, and it's kind of like the polarity of the kind of space that we're creating here in our this kind of environment what we're living in. It's this giving environment that's like nurturing, that's like, I don't expect anything back from you. I don't want your money, just you being here is enough. And so when we take that mauri with us, we're also, because of the 4 major environments, we've got these different people coming into, we've got experts in the ngahere, we've got these people who've been living in the moana, and these beautiful people who've been practicing self-sustainability within their tinana, like yourself, my brother. And so you expose these other beautiful people who are standing in their truth to people who may not get an opportunity to meet these other people, like our ngahere zone and our moana zone. Can be quite a very masculine zones, like with these tāne who are kai-gatherers, and then when they come in, and we meet the yoga teachers and all those other beautiful people, it's just like a beautiful opportunity to expand for everyone.
Wow. And when's the next one, bro? It's on the 6th of November in Taupo. Yep. And is it open to whoever's keen, or is there a registration process, or how does people get involved with these particular kaupapa?
It really is on the fly, and it's all organised through social media, and Wairua is really guiding it for me. I'll go into a place and I'll tune in and I'll just wander around and I'll feel into a place, and through the tohu and through the signs that I see, that's how I know that this is the place and the time. So really? It's a little bit like, it's hard to predict because it's ever changing and just really in the present moment is when it's done.
And so people would just either follow online on Harmonious Ra on Facebook, and is that when the updates are sort of shared?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep. So you can follow Harmonious Ra on Facebook or Creating Space page on Facebook.
And you got YouTube and everything else coming up, bro. Do you do daily vlogs, bro? Is that like your jam or?
Yeah. Recently it has, through the lockdown especially, just like the van life in level 4. There was some crack up moments going on there. That was the beauty of just being the leaf in the wind. I just ended up in this magical place with like these waterfalls and so I documented that, and that's on my Patreon. So I got a Patreon as well, where I've been uploading a lot of content as well, but also on YouTube and Facebook.
Awesome, my brother. Thank you so much for coming on, my bro. And just want to give it over to you, brother, if there is, I've done a video for you about some words that I'd like to share. That's what you sort of asked me for your video, and I just want to hand it back over to you, brother, about, if there are any final words that you want to leave the podcast with. I'm just going to hand it over to you to close us off, my brother.
Kia ora, my brother. I'm just going to invite everyone and yourself, my brother, to close down our eyes. Just become comfortable with the silence for a moment. Just become comfortable with the silence. And we're going to take a nice, slow, deep breath in with a slow breath out. Breathe in. And out. And the message that I have for everyone is that everything's going to be okay, my whānau. Everything is going to be okay. And that's it.
Beautiful, my brother. Thank you for the journey. Thank you for the sharing. Thank you for bringing your taonga into this space, and just really have felt the extreme privilege of just sharing this space with you. I have really enjoyed it. We've always wanted to connect, and I'm glad that our paths have aligned in this present moment. So thank you, my bro. And to the whānau, please reach out to the bro and let him know if there was any part in this korero that has resonated with you. Reach out, follow him online, and be sure to continue to be open to this mahi. So ngā mihi nui kia koe wada, and to the whānau, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mauri aroha.
Mauri aroha.